She is painted to be a living piece of art, an avant-garde approach in looking at a previous artwork a different way, possibly creating controversy in the traditional way of thinking of art and playing with the idea of what is art, as did Matisse and fellow modern artists.
I'd like to just continue to be able to express myself.
This is Henri Matisse, the Green Stripe or La Reverté. It was produced in 1905, a rather unusual portrait of his wife, Madame Matisse. Matisse was part of the Fauvist movement. It was one of those avant-garde movements that flourished in France in the early years of the 20th century. The title Les Fauves means wild beasts. They are called this because of the extreme emotionalism, and like animals, they indulge and gratify their primal urges with their use of vivid colors and wild strokes of paint that distorted the line and form of the subject painted. Unlike traditional paintings, this one expresses emotion with color. It is a representational portrait, but differs in the roots of impressionistic application of paint in the Fauvist style. The artist's hand using a paintbrush is visible the fact the color is highly saturated because he used the paint straight out of the tube. There could be a touch of Orientalism, just maybe with that sumo bun on her head. Marcel Duchamp began creating his ready-mades with the introduction of bicycle wheel during the Dada movement. He created the piece by attaching a bike wheel to a stool. It serves not real purpose except to be art for art's sake. Through the creation of this piece, he created ready-made art. A ready-made art is an ordinary manufactured object that is mass-produced. It is deemed to be art by the artist's selection of it being so. Duchamp set out the test to the limits of what society qualified art as. Finally, in 1915, he acknowledged and identified these works as a category of art. Duchamp attempted to undermine high art by defying the academic idea of art in the use of traditional subject matter. He also created pieces that had no real meaning and no purpose whatsoever. He threw out the rules and created what he wanted. Regarding his bicycle wheel, Duchamp said, "I enjoy looking at it just as I enjoy looking at the flames dancing in the fireplace." There have been many recreations of Duchamp's bicycle wheel. Some have taken a more interesting approach to his original style while still staying true to his original design. Barnett Newman studied at the Art Students League in the 1920s, but his career didn't really take off until 1940 to 50s. He competed against Pollock, de Kooning, and Rothko for attention of the public's eye, even though his paintings were far different from their works. Newman was the most thoughtful of the other abstract expressionists and also wrote a body of critics towards his fellow painters. In 1948, Newman discovered his basic formula to his infamous zip paintings, a unified color field interrupted by a vertical line, or rather, a narrow, vertical contrasting color space that runs the length of the canvas. The zips could vary from irregular hand brush zips to straight edge perfect zip that were made by using masking tape. For Heroicus Sublimis translates to mean the heroic sublime man, which is a mural-sized painting where the zips differ in hue, value, and contrast. Sometimes the zips are barely noticeable, while other times there is striking contrast. Newman wanted to keep a humanist scale or feel to his paintings, and that's why they tend to be so large in size. We attempted to recreate his art by making Nick a zip in a painting. Later, by using his zip formula, Newman was able to paint a series of 14 canvases that represents the Stations of the Cross in only black and white by using different mediums such as magna oil and acrylic. Damien Hirst has produced a body of work that creates controversy, whether it's mocking religion or questioning mortality. Since gaining critical acclaim for his work in 1991, the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living, Hearst has thrived on shocking the public with a modern approach to undermining a high art. Hearst took a tiger shark which was then set in a tank of formaldehyde. His aim was to point out the importance we place on objects that are encased or protected behind glass. By placing a 14-foot long shark in a museum setting, the viewer is confronted with death in the most haunting sense. The shark, in becoming a symbol of death, is also transformed into a high art object. Here we have recreated Hearst's physical impossibilities of death in the mind of someone living, with a toy shark. We try to capture the same feeling of placed importance on something as simple as a toy. These artists challenge the classical tradition of high art by changing the perception of what art is, by leaving the realm of aesthetically pleasing art and creating works that focus more on an idea. The modern definition of art is constantly expanding and evolving. Artists like Matisse, Newman, Duchamp, and Hearst successfully shifted the idea of what has become acceptable in a gallery setting by removing themselves from the art itself.